Do you want to take shots like this, Stamco-esque one knee, one timer? Or how about just a quick little wrist shot, top corner to fool the goalie? Or how about a stick so light that you can just one hand it and get the puck around the defenders so you can quickly get down the rink and just take a nice quick wrist shot and fool the goalie? This is Boomer's Stick Tier List 2021 2022. What's going on, Beer League Bums? Justin, aka Boomer, Beer League Bum Hockey Reviews. And today I am going to present to you a special video because I've been planning this for a while after basically almost 6 or 8 months of testing sticks, putting out individual stick videos. I am now here to put them all together to make it super, super easy. The reason I wanted to do this is watching my old videos, and I love the 600 subs or so that have stuck with me over this last 6 to 8 months while I've developed this channel and gotten better at this and done my best to listen to the feedback. I will say some of those videos are a little bit hot garbage, I guess you could say. Perhaps they belong in the dumpster, but that's okay. It got me started, and this is where we are now. So I'm going to combine all of that information into this video so that way you guys know exactly where I feel each stick stands currently and all the top end releases. Next, why am I qualified to do this? Well, the big reason is these. At the end of the day, I test the most sticks. I pick them all up. I've spent $3,000 or more on sticks over the last 6 to 8 months and actually put these things through the ringer. I check the durability. I see how they perform in a game. I actually use them. I'm not just going to stand here before you guys and tell you guys about some tech and basically tell you to buy them. It's not my gig. I'm just here to have some fun and review some sticks. So that's why I have used all of them. These are just some of the ones that I've had over the last little while. Some I broke, some I've sold, some are still in my basement. At the end of the day, I have the most experience with this, so I'm hoping that it helps you. And then finally, without further ado, I am going to start at the top because I think everybody knows where this is going. But I will provide some pros and cons for each stick and how I feel it stacks up against the next one or those around it in the individual tier list. So hang tight, we're getting into it. Beer League Bum Hockey Reviews, Boomer's first 2001-2022 stick tier list. And I will redo this video as the year moves and there's more releases from the top manufacturers. Here we go. On almost every one of my videos, I get a lot of questions of which stick is better than this stick, and is this stick better than that stick, and do you prefer this stick over that stick, etc. So that's what this is going to decide. But no Boomer 91 Beer League Bum Hockey Review stick video will not progress unless I give you an FT4 shout out. So the reason that I'm going with the FT4 as the top end of my tier list over the LX Pro, for those who've seen those videos, is really simple. Is the more I use the LX or the LX Pro and then the FT4, I go back and forth a lot during the game, the more I realize how consistent my shot can be with the FT4. I feel like I might have just a little bit more on it once in a while with the LX Pro, but it doesn't matter where my shots are or what I'm trying to accomplish with the FT4. Just I can always score, I can always get the shot off. It's just too good that way. This stick will enhance your shot. It is definitely the top stick in my personal opinion out of all the sticks right now, and everything about it just works. Now, it will enhance your shot. It feels great in the hands. It's super light. It has nice rounded corners, and it just brings it all the time with the FT4. So the con of the FT4, which is back and forth with the LX Pro, is the durability. The FT4, I have broken quite a few sticks, whereas the LX Pro, I haven't. So the two top sticks that I personally rank being the FT4 number 1 and the LX Pro number 2 right now in terms of my personal preference, the two differences are this has a more consistent shot. I definitely love how it feels. It has a durability, probably an issue in terms of comparison to the LX Pro. And then the LX Pro, unfortunately, is more durable, but has probably some of the worst grip on a hockey stick that you'll ever see. So I'll touch on that in the next one with the LX Pro. But my number one stick that will just enhance what you're doing is the FT4 Pro. So LX Pro from Warrior It was still my top rated stick by 1 point out of 20. It was 18 out of 20 compared to the 17 out of the 20 of the FT4 Pro last year. And it all came down to just durability. It just had a higher durability rating. It lasted me longer. I could not blow these up as fast as I could with the FT4. And it still had a very consistent shot, hard shot. And I love the shaft dimensions. I love how they had slightly concaved sidewalls, really nice rounded, and it was extremely light. It feels really great in the hands. So the LX Pro and FT4 are going to be pretty interchangeable in terms of enhancing your shot. These are the two sticks that I believe will actually, you shoot with and you will be like, oh, my shot is better. That is the difference between the top tier of the FT4 Pro and the LX Pro. Now, in terms of the LX Pro, you're going to have a couple cons. It's very difficult to find. I found one recently. This is my older 75 flex one. I found one recently at Pro Hockey Life in Tawasin, and there was only one 85 flex. That was it. They had two other ones in like an intermediate and like a junior, and that was as far as they had for inventory. So an LX Pro, you'll probably have to order online if you're interested in getting it. It is more durable than the FT4, so if you're the type of guy that does not want to blow up his $360 stick right away and still will benefit from some of the best release and shot, this is the way to go over the FT4. If you want just pure performance, pure power, no matter what, shot comes off, that's the FT4. So those are the two top end sticks that you can choose from. It's totally up to you which one you prefer. You will have to add grip to this if you're a grip stick type of guy. I have wax all over this and it's still not really enough. So it's one of the cons of the LX Pro. Your top two sticks of the tier are FT4 Pro, LX Pro. Both of them right at the top. You cannot get any better for shot power, release, incredibly lightweight, and still with some durability, the LX Pro just being more. My number 3 stick is back to the CCMs, and that is the AS4 Pro. I've had a couple of these. They've been excellent sticks. Just for me, the FT4 just sits slightly above it, just like the LX Pro. But from this stick, doesn't have much downside. It has a very easy load to it for a mid-kick stick. It works for all types of shots because of that load, especially if the type of guy, if you watch my kick point video, where you were holding in the middle of the stick, and that's where most of your shot power comes from. It also has a very, very lively blade. Pucks come off really nice, really quick. Is a little bit challenging to take hard passes sometimes because it'll just trampoline right off. And overall, it's a really great stick. Now, the downside to the AS4 Pro is the very square corners. A lot of people don't like that, which is why I kind of prefer the LX Pro and the FT4 in terms of shaft dimensions. But if you're that type of guy and that's the type of shot that you take, you will love the AS4 Pro. It's very light, especially for a mid-kick stick. Great balance. This is just an overall good stick with nice durability. It still has a few challenges that come with it, like I said, and if you want the full rundown on the AS4 Pro, look at my full video on that. This is stick number 3. Stick number 4 is a stick that I actually currently don't have anymore, and I haven't bought one in a long time just because of this tier list in the top 3, but it is the Nexus Geo, which might surprise a few people, but it's one of the first sticks I tested on this channel if you go way back into January of 2021 when I first launched and then we went into lockdown. The Geo was one of my favorite sticks in terms of just very, very smooth release, had a very nice kick to it. I could shoot pretty well, all types of shots, very similar to the FT4. It had a really nice blade that was kind of similar to what probably the PX was trying to accomplish, which is kind of like a little bit of a wood feel and, you know, a little bit dampened, but still some pop. That's what I really liked about the Geo. And it would just feel nice and balanced. But the problem with the Geo, and the reason I don't go back to it, is because you have to like the ER spine. And when I'm holding it in my hands, you'll see in the review that I did back in the day, if you want to look at it, is for some reason for me, it rotated in my hands a little bit, and I wasn't a huge fan of that, so I ended up resorting to some CCMs as I started testing new sticks. And it was a little disappointing because I wish they were able to achieve what they were trying to achieve with the Geo without the ER spine. Unfortunately, I think the new Sync coming out has the same ER spine, so we're going to have to deal with that. So hopefully they just make improvements overall and refine it. But it's a great stick if you're okay with the 5-sided shaft, because it will roll in your hands if you're just not used to it. But if you like that and it feels great in the hands, then it should work for you. But if not, if you pick it up in the store and you're like, this feels weird, I recommend sticking with the top 3. All right, next on the tier list is the Trigger 6 Pro. We're still in the top end elite category of the tier list, and this stick I also recommend, but to give you a quick summary on it, I do feel that it's more of an advanced shooter stick. It's more difficult to load if you don't have good technique, and because of the hosel area being super stiff, if you're a mid-kick shooter like me, where you keep your hand in the middle of the stick to get your shot off, you generally don't generate that much power with it. You have to be the guy that has your hands up top, really quick release, drag and in, kind of like an Austin Matthews type shooting style. And unfortunately, that's not for everybody. And you will have to go to a lower flex as well. I find that it gets too stiff in the 85, 95 range, unless you're a super, super advanced shooter that's like 250 pounds. Trigger 6 comes in at number 5. Excellent stick. All right, guys, so I score a lot of goals because I'm very confident in my stick. I've picked the FT4 Pro as my go-to stick, and my backup, I do have an LX Pro if I can't find one. And both of those give me the type of confidence that I need in my game and how I shoot, the stick handling that I do, etc. So when it comes to the top tier of sticks, you can find something that does that for you in all of them. Let's move into the middle tier sticks now and go through those. All right, guys, so again, I've had all of these sticks. The next on this middle of the tier list where I kind of recommend to kind of stay away from, or unless you really like a specific thing about these sticks, is to stick with the higher tier. But there is a couple pros that go with these sticks in the middle tier of this. So again, my next one, number 6, is going to be the Catalyst PX. Is 2022's first stick release. But for me personally, it was a major disappointment only because of its price tag. And unfortunately, True's trying to be this top end tier, and they really kind of messed it up with the blade. I am a shooter, and that blade feels like wood. It feels like you're hitting a cricket stick on a ball or something. It's very bizarre. It's excellent for stick handling because it does feel like a wood blade. You can feel the puck no matter where it is. I think that's what they were going for, but I think if they toned it down a little bit more like the Geo, you would have had a better win. And unfortunately, making it $400 as the top tier, top end stick kind of, rubbed me the wrong way. Now, it's very nice and light, which is great. If you like a stick handling stick that's super light and you're not going to take a lot of shots, it's going to last you a really long time. But if you're a shooter, I definitely say stay away from the Catalyst PX and stick in the top tier. All right, so next on the list is the ProStockHockeyStick.com stick. This is not indicative of how this stick performs where it is on the list. It's just more indicative of the ones above it in terms of what they bring to the table. The ProStockHockeyStick.com sticks has so many custom choices, so many things available, curves, kick points, weights. It's really amazing, and their biggest thing is, of course, the price tag. It is much less than any of the top-end sticks, and in my personal opinion, the Pro Stock Hockey Stick will fit the 90% of the majority of beer leaguers who play and only play to have fun and at least get some performance. So the ProStockHockeyStick.com stick has so many customization, so many curves that I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I used a mid-kick Line and I really enjoyed it. I really loved the curve. It had great kick and it was really nice and balanced and light. And the price was amazing. So it just doesn't quite stack up to say the FT4 or the other top two sticks, but that's okay because this is the type of stick that everybody is more looking for by not blowing $400. So despite where it sits in this list, I highly recommend this stick. And rounding out the bottom end of the mid-tier list is the Vapor Hyperlight. I actually still have one, even have some crappy RizTech on there that I never use. Go see my other video if you want to hear about that. I see a lot of influencers getting given the RizTech lately. It will be interesting to see what they say about it. The Vapor Hyperlight is one of those sticks that came out and I was super excited to use, and as soon as I did, I was kind of like, okay, it's an okay stick. That's basically where I got with it. It does have some durability issues in the blade. I've broken 2 in the blade over the last year or so when they came out last June, I think it was, so 8-9 months. I broke 1 in the shaft, and then I started switching to CCMs. The Hyperlight is an okay stick all around. It's the lower end of the tier, and the problem with the Hyperlight is there's things like Pro Stock Hockey that exist that just are better sticks and outperform it. If you're a go-to Bauer guy and you gotta have Bauer no matter what, and you don't like the Geo because of the 5-side, then the Hyperlite is still going to perform for you in terms of everything. It's a jack of all trade sticks. It can shoot slap shots okay, it can shoot snappers and wristers okay, and it's mildly durable, so without the blade issue. So overall, it's just at that lower mid tier, and it's honestly as far as I would go down my tier list in terms of purchasing actual sticks, depending on exactly what you like. All right, guys, here we are at the bottom of the tier list of the sticks that are currently in production of 2021. These 4 sticks I would personally stay away from completely. And if you want to watch the individual reviews on these sticks, they are on my YouTube, so you can check them out and hear why individually I did not like them and why they sit at this bottom of the rank. First one coming up is the True Catalyst 9X. It was a big disappointment. It lacked durability. It broke within mere hours of me using it. And I even have that on video in the video. And unfortunately, it's just not great. And I would stay away from the Catalyst 9X and keep it way, way out. If you really need a true stick, then go with the PX. Carrying on with the Trues, unfortunately, there are 2 sticks currently right now in production, both needing updates. The 9X previous and now the AX9. I picked up an AX9 after I actually broke my PX because I was originally going to do a review on the AX9, but I've used so many sticks that this stick just felt dated. It just felt like it was 4 or 5 years old, and just in comparison to the other sticks on the market, even the Hyperlite I found performed better. It was very stiff, just didn't feel great in the hands, really square corners, and it just wasn't my thing. And unfortunately, they're a little bit lagging behind in that low kickstick market. The new Hazardous looks amazing. I cannot wait to try it from True, and I think that's going to be a huge upgrade. Me personally, I would not get an AX9. I would probably just find an old Flylight or something if I wanted a mid-kick stick and keep it cheap. Congrats to those who stuck around this long, because this one is the doozy, and it was one of the worst releases that I've seen from Bauer in a long time, and it was the Bauer Sling. And the most interesting thing is that a lot of influencers online, I Train Hockey, Elevate 08, they continue to use the Sling, but in fact, very interesting, they use it very specifically because I think they're trying to hide the fact that it's a garbage stick. I Train Hockey, never actually see him shooting with it or anything unless it's up close, and then when he's actually doing most of his drills, he's using a Geo. And Elevate, one of the better players I've ever seen in terms of just skill set, is shooting so close to the net that it actually looks like this stick is legit. You know, spending 12 feet from the net and ripping one-timers definitely makes a stick look better than it actually is, and that's my thing with the Sling. I think a lot of people are using it as influencers and they're trying to show it off to help Bauer, which is part of their sponsorship, I'm sure, but honestly, the stick is just garbage and they're trying to sell it. The reason that the Sling is such garbage is because when you use it, you go to shoot it and you realize that the shaft tries to shoot the puck, and then you feel the kick of the blade try and shoot the puck. And in terms of slap shots, it's terrible because of that. And in terms of snapshots, it's very good up close when you're just sitting there by yourself shooting on a target in a net, and that's why it looks so good on influencers, Instagrams, etc. But it's really not a great stick. It's just really a big junk pile from Bauer, and I'm surprised they released it. And they changed something in the blade that really ruined it from the ADV, from what I've heard. I never actually used the ADV from the Nexus, but I've heard numerous people tell me that this stick is just not what they expected, and that's why it's on the lowest part of my tier list. All right, guys, the final stick in the avoid tier list is going to be the Bauer Ultrasonic, and at this point we already know it's discontinued moving forward, and it just tarnished the legacy of the Supreme line, going back to the original Total One and NXG, which is where the Supreme was decent. I used to love those sticks from my fond memories of them. I wish they still made them just to try them out again. Probably could get a Patrick Kane one or something if I really wanted to. And then the MX3 and the 1S kind of started to get away from it, and then eventually the Ultrasonic ADV Supreme came out, and they had that honking thing on the end of it, and man, what a bust that stick was. And unfortunately, it's the bottom of my tier list. You cannot give these things away. I was currently in the hockey shop in Surrey where I do all my shopping, and they just had rows of them, and the sales guy said they are going nowhere. So it's pretty obvious that it's not a great stick, and that's just the general idea from everybody. But if you're looking through this video and you happen to see one and you're like, I wonder how the Ultrasonic is, avoid it like the plague. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. We're almost at 600 subscribers, blowing my mind with the amount of support, the comments, etc. So please comment below where you are purchasing your sticks in my tier list. Again, this is just subjective. It's just for fun, guys. If I crapped on your favorite stick for any reason, like the Bauer Sling, I do apologize. Maybe you should try some of the top end stuff and maybe you'll change your mind. Other than that, thanks for sticking around. Beer League Bum Hockey Reviews, lots of stuff coming for 2022. I'll see you then.